development. We're looking at music industry income streams in 2020 and onwards. So I'll start off here straight away with one of my students, and probably quite a well-known song for a lot of young people between the ages of about 10 to 18 at the minute. So SL's first song that he put out was a song called Gentleman, and you'll see that it was released via Mixtape Madness, and as we sit here today, it's done 38 million views, which for a young person who's still not even in their 20s, this is really impressive and proof that you can obviously get quite a lot of attention online. But this brings me on to my first talking point today, which is really sadly, YouTube is actually one of the worst platforms to generate income for music, and a lot of people in 2020 still have this perception that you make quite a lot of money from YouTube. I'm going to start using some of the screenshots in a second, which will break down some of the numbers, but I'm afraid the bad news is there's a few really easy traps out there to fall into. I'm going to use SL as the example here. So very sadly, his most popular song has made 38 million views, 79,307 views to date since its upload in March the 26th, 2017. And this is predominantly what the music industry talent scouts and record label execs will be looking at when they're looking around to potentially sign new artists. So we could argue this song is very popular, but the downside is nearly all of the money that's been generated from this video, and we'll be able to find what that is in a minute using a calculator, that's all gone to Mixtape Madness. So for all of SL's creativity, nearly all of the income stream that came along with that song has gone back to a YouTube channel, which has probably profited whether he was either in custody, in the community, or whatever else was going on with his life. So again, the only point I'm trying to make here is you can make music, go to prison, and still be paying media channels. And if you catch a long prison sentence that goes with that, and you were disclosing criminal activity within your music videos as well, that could be the icing on the cake for your case. But obviously, if it's gone through a media channel, they're not bothered because they're still making money while you're sat in prison. I'm not saying any of this to be disrespectful to anyone. It's just the cold, hard reality of the music industry in 2020. So first piece of advice is be very careful about what you upload to places like YouTube in the first place, and other streaming platforms. Don't give the police free intelligence. You know, if you've been doing no comment interviews, for example, I wouldn't put a mic in front of yourself and then start talking about everything else. But the main thing I want to pick up on here as well is be very careful how you upload your music and promote it. I'm going to go to SL's second video here, which is Tropical. I'm sure everyone knows this video too as well. You'll see it's got half the amount of hits we saw in the first one, almost, let's say 40 roughly there. And we've got just under half that again. And he released that best part of 8 months later than his first video. The main reason I'm highlighting all of this though is Mixtape Madness did very well off SL's two first videos. And he won't have seen very much money come from it. And you'll notice Tropical was a very well shot video, went to a really interesting location and put everything together. But the downside of that is, like I say, all the income that could have been generated through YouTube has actually gone to a channel that hosts music videos, who probably charged them for the upload and potentially to even shoot the video in the first place. So the artist has only spent on this as opposed to making. Whereas if I bring you to one of his latest videos, you'll notice he's not getting quite the same amount of views, but thank goodness all of this is finally on his own channel. So the main thing that I want to try and point out is YouTube is a very popular place. It is possible to make money from it, but let's actually get into the numbers straight away. So this is the sad part, is if I go through this now, and Ditto is what we call an aggregator. We're going to learn about those in a minute. But an aggregator in this case here is used to help get your music online. So YouTube doesn't require any aggregator, you can just upload. But the downside of that is they also pay the least. So if I put this into numbers quickly, because numbers talk, if I put 1 million hits and I times that by what YouTube pay, which is 0.00069, for every 1 million streams you get on YouTube, you actually only earn $690, which by the time we change that back into pounds for the UK is not a huge lot of money, and quite minimal in comparison to what a lot of other places will pay. Yet a lot of people still put their music out on YouTube first because it's free and everyone can access it, but you can already see as an artist in here in the first place, the downside is YouTube doesn't pay very much. And let's say we now had got 20 million hits like SL did. 13,000 is good, but it's obviously still not what he would have got from other platforms instead. And we'll go and have a look at this in a second as to why. So again, and that was just doing 20 million hits times 0.00069 gives us 13,800, which is good, but it's not as much as some of the other streaming channels, as we're going to see in a second. So what I'm going to do is bring you back to this screen here and start to go up. So you can see straight away Amazon pay nearly double straight away, but not as much as Spotify. A lot of people aren't aware that Amazon have their own streaming service as well these days, and you'll notice now we're starting to see some more familiar names that have been popular. So Deezer actually pay more than Spotify. Google Music pay even more than Deezer and Spotify. Apple Music pay even better. Tidal, owned by Jay-Z, pay the most. So let's put some of these numbers into reality now. So let's go to Spotify, which is quite a popular platform these days, okay, and do the same maths again. So we're going to do 1 million hits, okay, and we're going to times that by 0.0437. Sorry, my bad. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 times 0.00437. $4,370 is what Spotify pay per million streams. So that's a huge amount more than YouTube pays straight away. And this is why it's so important to try and understand about streaming platforms and how to generate money from them these days. It's also really important to try and understand what streaming platform you want to build an audience on as well. And my advice would be look at the streams and the opportunities with the streams and try and build yourself a fan base that way. So again, if we go to Deezer and put those guys in, here's 1 million times 0.0064, 6,400. So uploading your music to Deezer is better than uploading it to Spotify. Having your music available on Apple, oh, apologies everyone. So we've got 1 million again times 0.00783 is 7,000. So Apple are paying almost double of what Spotify pay. Okay, and Jay-Z at Tidal, the owner of Tidal, times 0.01284 per stream is 12,840. So in comparison, and I'm just going to share the screen again, we're seeing about $690 compared to $12,000 on Tidal, all for the same 1 million streams. And this is very important to understand now, because again, going forwards into music, it would be a real shame to build a huge fan base on YouTube, but obviously never be able to see the money that you could have made if you did with Tidal. And here's an interesting fact for you all as well. Did you know that Tidal also now do a video streaming service? So it's an all-in-one stop place to be able to put your music videos and your music to be streamed from, at which every view or play that happens creates money back for you again. And like I say, a simple way to look at this now, that's $12,840 per stream, which by the time we've gone through the exchange rate is around about £10,000. Me personally, I'd be trying to upload my music to Tidal as much as possible, as well as Apple Music, because they pay the best. Okay, so I just want to go through a couple of processes quickly here and try to explain the difference. So We've got really low paying streaming platforms like YouTube, Napster, Tidal, and Deezer obviously pay much better. The predominant streaming platforms for the music industry at the minute remain to be Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, and Napster. And as a byproduct, there's a lot of opportunities that you can use now to help get your music out there. So to help get your music out there, the first thing that you're going to need to do is to make a song. And it doesn't matter where you make your song. It could be done at a home studio. It could be done at a high-end professional studio. It could be done using your mobile and a tablet. There are so many different ways, you know, for someone my age, and I'm around about 39, when I was growing up, you know, we had to access music studios and go and see high-level professionals working with them. In 2020, as long as you've got a laptop, you can be making music these days. And that means if your friend's got a laptop on a studio, you can be getting around there and making it. So the typical process to work with a studio is to create some music. And if you need any help with how to do that, this is my website, which is why it's been up here. We offer training services all the time. We can do it remotely or we can do it in person. If you're interested in that sort of stuff in the future, speak to your caseworkers and let them know that you're interested. And if we're able to return to face-to-face lessons, we'll be able to do something that way. If not, have a look online and see if there's anything else. There's loads of stuff you can teach yourself these days using YouTube. And I'm sure there's a load of music studios within your area that you could possibly hire as well for between 10 and 20 pounds an hour. If you are recording yourself, if you go to my website and click on this button here, the notes section, this PDF will come up. Very simple. And if we flick through, this gives you a basic explanation about a lot of equipment, lots of stuff about microphones, but more importantly, if we go to this recording vocal section here, you will see that you can use very budget setups again to be able to record vocals within your house or a friend's house or a local area that you're all able to share and access. And again, you can use stuff like sleeping bags, rugs, mattresses to help create acoustically treated environments that give you good quality recording vocal sort of rooms. So you don't need lots of money, you just need to understand the science of how reverb's created in a room. Reverb is like the echoey sound, and how to try and reduce that. So again, putting a soft surface in front of a hard surface wall where you plan to record means that the sound that you're going to project, i.e. a voice in this case, can't bounce off a wall and then start to create echoes. So again, if you were to rap inside a sleeping bag, for example, you'll get much better vocal quality than you would rapping inside a church. So you record your song, and then at the end of that, ideally you want to be able to go and get your song mixed and mastered. If I'm talking another language to you already, I'll give you a really quick example here. So when you finish recording, normally you just have pieces of audio. So these are like different sound tracks that all look like weird earthquake readings. And then you'll give them to something called a mix engineer, who will then basically try and make all of the sounds in your song sound clear and present and not what we call muddy, so you can't not hear them properly. So here's a quick example of an unmixed track versus a mixed track, and you'll hear the difference between the two straight away. From your rivals, the world. So this is unmixed.
They say they didn't expect it, but me, I ain't surprised. I was talking on some good reason, money on my mind, bro. Sorry when I cut, be your friends, become your rivals. The world keeps spinning. It's funny how I lie. Be your friends, become your rivals.
And now this is a mixed version. So you should notice some effects happening here with the song, and now the vocals should be clear and the track probably a little bit louder as well.
They say they didn't expect it, but me, I ain't surprised. I was talking on some good reason, money on my mind, bro. Sorry when I...
And again, the main thing I want you to notice between the two versions is the first version was unmixed. The vocals weren't very clear or easy to hear. The track didn't really bang in the same way. Whereas the mix and mastered version is really clear. There's some creative effects with the intro, you know, record stop and starting effects. So this is all stuff that a mix engineer will take care of you. So the first two things you're going to need to do is record a song and get it mixed and mastered.